My therapist said something profound to me. And when she said it, I wanted to break down and cry. And it was simple. She was like, in so many words, you don't always have to set an expectation for yourself, these high expectations for yourself. That it's okay to have a goal, but sometimes it's important to let go of the high expectations. And that was profound to me. It sounds so simple, probably to anyone else hearing it, but it was a relief for me. So I say that to say, even though I'm asking you to watch this entire series about my journey returning to work and to heed or be a part of my call to action at the end of the series and today, I'm okay with this sharing just being a part of my healing. And some people probably may have been watching thinking why is she talking about this publicly, or why now, why speak it, why share? I'm sharing, honestly, it's just a part of my healing to share. Anybody who knows me knows that I know for a fact that my purpose here on the earth is to be an advocate for the youth. So while I want to advocate, I'm letting go of the expectation of what should come to pass after people watch what you're going to watch today and tomorrow. That I'm just okay with this being a part of my healing, because I no longer want to hold on to the anxiety that I've been feeling as a result of this trauma and returning to work and having everything unfold. I don't want to hold on to it. So while my ask is that you be a part of our call to action and that you watch the entire series, I'm okay if you don't. I'm okay with this just being, a part of my healing.
So it is Saturday. I don't even know the date. What's today's date? My baby will be 3 months tomorrow. So today is January 11th, 2020. I'm vlogging. I don't even know if anybody will ever see this video, but if you are watching it, it's because I was led to share it. I just need to speak. All week I have been vlogging my first week back to work as a mother again after 12 years of having a baby. All week I've been vlogging my experience with going back to work after having a baby to share on my YouTube channel. Never really thinking that I would get back to my first full week of work and have such trauma happen on the last day. So I don't even know where to start. On Friday, I had to report my sweet, sweet baby's childcare provider to the state of New Jersey for abuse. My baby is okay. Thankfully, she's still her happy, bubbly self. But sadly, I don't know if anything happened to her while she was in this woman's care. All I know is what I see, and she has scratches on her leg and red ring marks around her little chunky thighs. And I've cried about this. I cried so much on Friday that I couldn't even see straight. Literally, I cried so much on Friday I could not see by the time I finally decided to lay on the couch on my husband's lap with the baby on my chest and just fall asleep. Like, I didn't want to go to bed in my bed. Like, it was just so much trauma. I've cried about it all night recently. So I'm trying not to cry as I speak this. But Friday, I had to report my child. My daughter will be 3 months tomorrow. And I had to report her child care provider to the state of New Jersey for child abuse. There were like things that happened during the week that just didn't sit well with my spirit. And I kept talking to my husband. I talked to my mom. I was chatting in my group chat with my, people I trust, my sisters and such. And everybody kept saying, like, I know, give it a week. I understand how you feel. Like, and I'm just trying to push through because I already did not want to go back to work. So they already knew that. They already knew I was crying about it before it was even time for me to take her to a child care provider. So everyone was just being very encouraging and saying, just give it a week and see how you feel about it. But there were things that would be happening or that I, just didn't sit well. I just felt like this woman was staging certain activities that she was supposedly be doing with her kids. Just a whole bunch of things that didn't sit well with me. So by Friday, I decided that I was going to place my phone and my daughter's diaper bag on voice memo on my iPhone and record. And I, my stomach was in knots from the time I was driving to work. I was praying about it, just praying the whole way to work. When I pulled up, I was praying about it. And, I said, Lord, like, please don't let this, Lord, don't let this read as I am trying to control the situation, because God is dealing with me about, just allowing him to be in charge, and I prayed in the car and I said, Lord, please don't read my decision to put this phone in her bag as me trying to control the situation because I don't want to work. But Lord, if I put this in her bag, it be on purpose. And it would be for a reason. And if I find nothing on this recording, Lord, I will let it go and move forward. But if I listen to the recording and I find something, Lord, I will still be obedient to what you've told me to do. So I felt led to put the recording in her bag when I dropped her off at 7:30. And I go and I feed her because she's literally 1 minute down the road from my job. So I go to feed her at 10:30. So immediately when I got there at 10:30, it's just a whole bunch of stuff. It's just a whole bunch. But I took the phone out of the diaper bag and I went in there to, tell her I was here to feed the baby. And without going into too many details, I knew she was asleep with her back turned to me and her desk chair, and the 3 little kids were sitting behind her desk chair, and one of them was slumped over on the floor. I just assumed he was sleeping. And I said, I'm here to feed the baby. And I didn't think anything of it at the time because I hadn't listened to the recording. I just thought the baby was sleeping. The little boy was sleeping, which was not okay with me for him to be sleeping that way on the floor. So she spun around and said, oh, on Fridays, it's movie day. And there's no way the kids could have been watching a movie. So I got my baby and I immediately plugged in my headphones. Oh gosh. And I fed the baby. And I asked her specifically, and she said, oh, she was sleeping all morning. She told me the baby was sleeping all morning. which now I know is not the truth. So I fed the baby. I reluctantly, put the baby back, gave the baby back to her. And I went back to work, and I listened to the recording all morning. I just couldn't. My stomach was in knots. I hadn't eaten anything since breakfast. I just couldn't eat anything. I tried to keep my students, as I worked, the best engaged as they did their silent reading and their other activities. And I just couldn't. I had to listen. So I'm listening in between doing things, teaching my mini lessons and doing things on that Friday. And just the way she spoke to them was incredibly mean. So when I heard her use a completely different tone of voice that she used when I was around, like evil, demonic, it just makes my skin crawl. I already made the decision that this was it. Like at 1 o'clock, I was going to get my baby, and my baby wasn't going back, So 1 o'clock came. I had 1:30 came when I go to feed my baby again, and I hadn't gotten through the recording yet. I was still listening to the recording as I began to nurse my baby, and at the same time trying to figure out how am I gonna, get my baby out of here? What am I gonna do? I'm still at work. I only have 40 minutes to make a plan to get my baby out of there. Who am I going to take her to? How am I going to do all of this? Am I going to have to take my baby back to work? I'm just sitting there in that chair, nursing my baby, just feeding her, trying to figure it all out. And as I'm still listening to the recording from the morning is when I hear her, beat a little boy no more than he couldn't be quite two. I hear her beat him. And when I hear her beat him, and you can physically hear her beating him on the recording, when I hear her beat him, I literally unlatched my baby from, my breast and was like, every bit of me just wanted to just run at that moment. So I'm like, okay, calm down. So I make up a plan, and I just tell her that, oh, my sister's in town. I have my sister popped up, and I want to leave. And my sister wants to see the baby. So at that point, I had called my sister because I was so upset, and I just needed somebody in my ear to calm me down. So I'm just like packing up my baby. I didn't even put her coat on or anything. I put her in the seat, and she's trying to give me milk and whatever things from the week, and I'm just stuffing stuff in the bag, and I'm like, all right, bye, see you later. And I just immediately broke down when I got in the car because she beat that little baby. I don't believe in spanking kids. Everybody knows that. But if you spank a baby, you don't hit them. First of all, you don't hit a child that little. And for those people who believe in spanking, that was not a spanking that she gave that child. She beat those kids. So when I heard that, I was immediately traumatized and like trying to figure out what in the world am I going to do. And I got my sister in my ear, and she's trying to talk me through it. And she's like, just take the baby back and, talk to your principal. And that's exactly what I did. And once I calmed myself down, explained to him what happened, and he put me in a room, and I was able to finish nursing my baby because I'm sure she was hungry. Because on that recording, I can tell she was not taking care of my baby properly all week. And she was abusing those other kids. I don't care if people believe in hitting kids. You don't hit kids, especially if they're not your own, period. Or you don't hit them, period. Those are babies. They're all under 4 or 5 years old. Those are babies. You don't do that. You don't do that. That is abuse. I don't care who disagrees with me. That is abuse. And what I heard on that recording is abuse. And if it sounds like I'm angry, it's because I am. So once I nursed my baby and, calmed down, and I changed her diaper because she was soaking wet. Once I changed her diaper, once my husband got there, actually right before my husband got there, I called the secretary and she gave me the number for the abuse hotline for our town, and I started the process of reporting the abuse and what I heard on the recording, but not fully listening to the rest of it because I was so emotionally traumatized by that point. I didn't listen to the remaining 55 minutes or so of the recording. So I made the report, and then everything was like in motion from that point. And then when I got home, state investigators came and, long story short, took all of the information that I heard up to that point. And then we went to the Apple store today to be able to get the long 2 hours and 49-minute voice memo off my phone so we could get it to state investigators. And by the time we did that, my mom visited and everything, we finally got another opportunity, and my husband sat down and listened to the recording with his headphones because I told him I didn't want my baby to hear her voice again. I didn't want my baby to have to hear her voice again, so I didn't want him to listen to it on the TV or on his speakerphone. And if you hear the way she spoke to those kids, it's evil. I never heard anybody speak to children that way, babies that way. So he listened, and I was, had the baby in my Moby wrapping, was cleaning the kitchen, trying to stay occupied, like praying to God that he didn't hear anything else on the recording. But as I was like peeking in the living room, I could see his face just being so long and sad, and him just shaking his head and typing the transcript of what he was hearing on the thing. But I didn't expect for it to be so much more. And so without going into all the details of what was said, but she ended up beating the little boy again. All because he had soiled his diaper. He's only a little baby. That's what babies do. And then she ended up beating the other girl. And all the while you can hear my baby crying in the background. Meanwhile, she told me that, oh, your baby, she slept nice and sound all morning. She slept all morning, nice and sound, not a peep. That's what she told me, which was clearly a lie. So, I'm done. I'm obviously very upset because this is very upsetting, but I'm going to lead with a clear heart and clear mind. I know the things that we've prayed and over this past weekend so far, and I know the things that God has spoken to my heart, to my mind, not my flesh or my emotions. So I'm going to move accordingly and just remember my purpose and plan here on the earth is to reach children by the masses, and I'm going to continue to be what God has blessed me to be, which is an advocate for children, and not lean on my own understanding of things, because there's no means to be able to make up an understanding for what I witnessed and listened to on that 2 hours and 49 minutes recording on Friday. Abuse is not okay. Hitting children, babies, is not okay. She beat those children. She beat them. She did not spank them. She beat them. She beat them. I heard it. She beat those children. I just hope that she didn't do anything to my baby. And I just feel so bad for those babies.
So I don't know what you're thinking after watching that. I don't know what you're feeling, but for me, for us, for our family, me and my husband, it's very real. It's actually the most traumatic thing we've had to weather in our marriage thus far. In the next video that I share tomorrow, you're going to hear the neglect and abuse, the beatings for yourself. So if you're not already moved to act, I'm hoping that you will be moved to act once you hear it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it, which my word, like, I don't have any reason to make any of this up or to make it as big as I'm making it to be. But I think you hearing those children will be enough for you to act, hopefully. And I'm not seeking anybody's sympathy. I don't want your sympathy. I don't want anyone to watch this video and go, oh, that's sad, and then go on to your next video. I'm not asking for anybody to sympathize, but empathy is okay. And that your empathy would cause you to be a part of our call to action, which is to be a voice for the voiceless. I'm hoping that once everyone is a part of our call to action, what I'm hoping to see is that Mrs. Jones's in-home child care center will never ever be allowed to accept children again. I don't care what type of classes they put her through. I feel like it should never be allowed to open. So as of June 15th, here in the state of New Jersey, child care facilities and summer programs and things of that nature are now open for everybody. I want to make sure that her doors are closed. I'm not asking anyone to go and find her or call her. I'm asking you to use the numbers in the descriptions to give calls to the people who are in charge and able to make systemic change. So that's one of my asks. I don't want her to be able to accept any more children. Her doors should be closed. I want to be able to create change in the way abuses are reported, whether it be any type of abuse toward children, sexual abuse, childhood molestation. I want to change the way it's reported in the sense that there aren't any broken promises, that the person reporting feels secure in knowing that the report is going to be taken seriously and that there's going to be some follow-up action. Look, I am an educator. I understand that information cannot be released to me with regards to other children. I reported this to the New Jersey Hotline for Abuse. I also reported this to the Pemberton Township Police Department. I also reported this to Vivyan, Saloka, and Suzanne, whose all information will be in the description. I had investigators come out to our home, and I'll go into more detail, but I'm giving you these names so that you can use the information in the description and begin to bombard those people who are in charge and able to make systemic change, just to make sure that there aren't any more children being received in the home and that her doors are closed, and also to begin to bring awareness to the flaws in the system. The foster care system, which I'll talk more about tomorrow, why the foster care system is involved. The police department on how they do wellness checks after someone reports abuse and children still being in the home. Also with I feel like with the New Jersey Department of Child Protective Services that my investigators did everything that they were supposed to do. He did everything he was supposed to do, but in my opinion, there's a systemic flaw. There's a systemic flaw just for it to just be. I didn't get a letter in the mail until I was stalking them, what's going on, what's happening. And the letter I got in the mail, which I'll talk more about, pretty much said that with regards to my daughter, Lily Jean, the baby, that we know something happened, but something just happened, and that was it. Again, as an educator, I know that I am not privy to information with regards to any other children, so I'm not seeking that. But I do feel like if someone has evidence of neglect and abuse, there should be some sort of follow-up or a surety in knowing that the person who caused the abuse is not only going to receive a consequence. That's the least of my worries, That's the least of my worries. I don't believe in eye for an eye and this, that. But what I do believe in is protecting children. So I just feel that it's time for me to get over my feelings of anxiety. It's time for me to get over the fear of feeling like I need to protect an abuser or be more concerned about how people are going to view this. It's time for me to get over that and really stand for what I believe in and speak for what I believe in, which is protecting children. So that's all I want. I don't want any more children being received into that home. I want those people in charge at BCAP, Burleson County Community Action Program, who are responsible for licensing and inspecting homes. I want them to just be more transparent about what happens when you report that one of the homes that they have sanctioned to be a childcare provider is flawed. I'm not looking for them to pacify me or soothe me. I just want them to look at the policies and practices in place. And I do believe that your phone call or your email or your voicemail that you leave is going to cause some attention to be put towards those policies. And I'm looking for systemic change, not to be sympathized with or pacified. I will deal with my emotions and my fears or anxieties in my own time, in my own space. But what I'm looking for is to be a voice for voiceless, and I'm just hoping that you will do that with me. That's all.